David Benavidez is now the lineal cruiserweight champion of the world. He just defeated Gilberto Ramirez inside of 6 rounds in an absolutely brutal performance. I must say I was very impressed. It was honestly, it probably is going to stand as the best boxing performance of this year, considering Benavidez was at super middleweight only a relatively short time ago. He only had a couple fights at light heavyweight, and he jumps all the way up to cruiserweight in a super bold move, and he beats the guy at cruiserweight, takes his belts, and he does so in emphatic fashion. So, basically the point of this video I'm making now is we've seen Benavidez, we've seen he's a force at super middleweight, we've seen he's a force at light heavyweight, and now, from what it seems, he could be a force at cruiserweight too. But when I was watching the fight, there were a couple things that kind of concerned me. Now, first off, let's not pretend that Gilberto Ramirez, he completely ignored his corner's advice. He wanted to stay in the pocket with David Benavidez for whatever reason. I guess it kind of turned into an ego battle for him, and he was playing into the crowd too much. And he ended up getting, to say he got clipped would be putting it lightly. I mean, he got hit with a lot more than just getting clipped. I mean, he got completely unloaded on. All right, we're probably going to have to edit that out. David Benavidez showed that he could definitely hang at cruiserweight with some of the best, but I am curious how he would do against an elite boxer at cruiserweight. But my whole thinking is the only other person who could be competitive with him at cruiserweight, I think, is J.O. Pita. And I'm not necessarily sure if that's a fight that's actually going to happen or if Benavidez is going to move back down to light heavyweight. But let's just say he moves down to light heavyweight. I personally think that the one fight that he could have at light heavyweight that's actually going to be competitive is against Bivol. Now, a lot of people are also going to wonder about Artur Beterbiev. I personally think Beterbiev is, he's getting a little older. He might be a little bit more battle worn at this point. He's been fairly inactive. And there's reasonable suspicion to suspect that he is slowing down. Now, does he show it in his fights? Not really. But he's been out the ring for a while. He's had a couple injuries. He's in his 40s. I think Benavidez would beat Beterbiev at this point. But the fight that I think is really competitive is against Bivol. Now, assuming Benavidez moves back down, which I think he will, and fights Bivol, I do think Bivol would probably still beat Benavidez. And even though I think, obviously, so they had a similar opponent. Gilberto Ramirez has fought both Bivol and Benavidez. But Benavidez obviously was much more dominant than Bivol was. But you also have to think Bivol has a different style, and Bivol goes to decisions against pretty much everybody. And we've seen in boxing, anybody who knows boxing well enough would know that just because Boxer A knocks out Boxer C and Boxer B goes to points with Boxer C, that doesn't mean that Boxer A is going to run through Boxer B. And I still think that, if you actually watch the fight between Bivol, I'm sorry, against Benavidez and Ramirez, I really think if Ramirez actually kind of kept his range a little bit more, used his jab and boxed, he would have been able to evade, and not completely evade, but he would have been able to get out the way of most of those flurries that Benavidez was throwing, because he was standing right there for them. And Bivol's not going to do that. Bivol's very disciplined. If you watch the Canelo fight, if you watch the Beterbiev fight, Bivol is extremely composed. He's very disciplined. He's not going to play to the crowd. He's not going to get into a fight that he knows is not his fight. And he's going to continue to box, use his jab, and he has some of the best defense in boxing. Now, one thing that I think is noteworthy, even though the Bivol and Benavidez fight's not going to happen at cruiserweight, I did think, Benavidez, he was getting a little bit tired in those later rounds. I mean, it wasn't even in the later rounds. It was just halfway through the fight. And I thought he was getting pretty tired. He was slowing down a little bit. And I was watching the fight and I was thinking, I was like, he's getting kind of tired. You know, there's still a lot of fight left. I think Ramirez, he might be able to get back to this fight, and then bop, 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 and then instantly he gets shut down. So I mean, he could he could rest and he could conserve his energy and he could fire out and burst, but he uses a lot of energy when he does that. And I think against Bivol, you need to conserve your energy very wisely, or you will get picked apart. And just based on watching their styles class, just in my head, visually speaking, I can't see Benavidez getting away with the type of stuff he did against Zurdo Ramirez last night. I don't see him doing that against Bivol. I think Bivol, he's actually going to box. He's going to be, he has a better jab than Benavidez for sure. Defensively, he's too smart. And if the fight happens, I really don't think that Benavidez is going to beat Bivol. Now, is it possible? Of course. But realistically, I just think Bivol's, he's going to use his superior boxing, and he's going to keep Benavidez, away from him. He's not going to stand too close to him. And with that Soviet style, I think that's the way to beat Benavidez. Now, some other fighters at light heavyweight who could beat Benavidez, really, I don't think there are any. I mean, let's be honest, light heavyweight's a pretty weak division outside of Bivol, Beterbiev, and Benitez. Oh, holy shit. Benavidez and Beterbiev. There we go. I'm not losing my mind completely. I can still reach in there and correct things. But anyway, I'm just gonna leave the video here. I want you guys to tell me what you think. Who could beat Benavidez right now? Personally, I think Bivol could beat him. I don't think Beterbiev could beat Benavidez. That's a bit of a tongue twister. But that's the one fighter I think who could beat him. We're not even going to talk about Canelo. I don't think Canelo has a chance against Benavidez. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. As always, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace. Come on, y'all. We're looking for the #1 answer only. Give me a fighter that would beat David Benavidez.
Steve, I'm gonna go with Canelo Alvarez.
What? What the hell is this boy talking about?
What'd you say?
Have you lost your damn mind? This boy said Canelo. This boy said Canelo. We looking for Canelo.